I'm Mike Rotschy, Rotschy Timber Management here in Clark County. I've been in business around 40 years. My great-grandfather homesteaded here around 1890. Basically, my whole family has worked in the timber industry. Early in my career, I did quite a bit of logging on Forest Service ground, working for other companies. And since I've been in business for myself, I mostly work for private landowners. My business is timber management focused on harvest, but we plant and we spray. We do all kinds of different maintenance besides just harvest. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Yeah. How has overregulation affected loggers?
I think the regulation, the two biggies for the Forest Service that shut the Forest Service down, first was the spotted owl and then was the salmon. And I think an awful lot of that was the agencies making the rules. Mm-hmm. And the Forest Service basically laid down and quit and let the ologists take over. And so it became a great big study program, and anybody that maintained roads or was a forester was slowly eased out the door. We don't need you around. We don't want any foresters in our midst. So I think the big thing was that the spotted owl and the salmon just gave all the power to the agencies and basically shut production down. And once they shut production down, then there was no more road maintenance. Roads started going away, and with no timber harvest, fires got to be a lot bigger problem. And when there was a fire, the roads weren't maintained, so they couldn't get to them. It's been a disaster.
What do you believe would help mitigate forest fires?
Well, the best thing to stop forest fires is to have uneven aged units. As soon as you get a huge area that's all the same, especially if it's climax age, then you're ripe for fire. But typically if a fire starts in say a bunch of overripe old growth snags where there's a lot of fuel load, when it gets to a younger age stand, there's not enough fuel and the fire will go out or can't travel, and you can stop the fire. But if you just have miles and miles of the same age stuff, it's ripe for a runaway. And of course, if you get hot enough fire, then there is no stopping it.
How would the RAINS Act impact the timber industry?
The agencies that come up with rules off the cuff with no way to have any input or fight it, I think the RAINS Act would be a huge benefit, that they couldn't just make it up. That would actually have to be approved. And just about any rule that's made in the forestry business is going to be over the $100 million limit. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket. So I think it could be a real strong benefit.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and thanks for all the information about the timber industry.
Well, it's a pleasure talking with you, Joe, and I really appreciate you taking input from citizens like myself. It gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
You bet.
Take care. Have a great day.
You bet.
Our local industries are suffering from bureaucratic red tape and burdensome regulations. Congresswoman Marie Perez voted against H.R. 227, the RAINS Act, which would rein in the administrative state. Any new major rule that federal agencies propose would need approval before the House and Senate before going into effect. The RAINS Act would prevent presidents like Biden from strangling the economy with red tape. Marie voted to allow the bloated federal agencies to crush the timber industry with red tape. She claims to be on the side of working class people, but she's voting to make it harder for them to earn a living. Marie talks a lot about fixing local issues, but the biggest killer of our timber business is the overregulation by unelected federal bureaucrats. Marie is against Congress having any real oversight over these regulations, and she voted against returning the power to the people. Thank you, Mike Rotschy, for giving us an inside look at the logging industry, and thank you for watching the premiere of Get Local with Joe, a series where I talk to people in the community about local issues right here in our 3rd District. You can support my campaign at joekentforcongress.com. I'm Joe Kent, Republican candidate for Congress. I approve this message.